Going on. All right, everybody. How you doing? It is Wednesday night, and that means it's time for the Armchair GM. I am GreenBean, and I am joined by the very excited and upbeat Tigo from Talking Jets with Tigo. He's in good spirits. He's psyched up. Clearly, everybody, we have a GM. It is not up for debate. This guy is coming out firing on all cylinders. And you should be very, very excited. Before we get started, I will remind you, it is greatly appreciated if you would take the brief quarter second and squeeze the milk thumbs for us. Get that like button going and subscribe to the channel if you would be so kind. Also, don't forget to give Tigo some love as well. The link to his channel is right in the top of the description of this very video. Tigo, my good friend, how are you for real this fine evening?
I'm fine. Honestly, it's like I like obviously I get heated when the things immediately happen, but nothing's happened. Nothing of note has happened since day one. And so it's like,
a lot of note has happened.
No. Things have happened.
And they're of note. They're noteworthy, my friend, whether you like them or not. Is part of the discussion, but they are definitely of note. The Jets have a new starting quarterback. The Jets have
but that happened day one. Since day one of the tampering period, nothing of note has happened.
Since day one. So since the completion of day one. That's not the right way to say that.
Stevens, all of that was important. Those are starters. We haven't done anything really of note since day one. And so, yeah.
Yeah. So, Tigo, he's what we just witnessed, everybody, is Tigo trying really hard, and I commend him to not let this bother him, because the truth is that there's a lot of questions, a lot of which we will discuss tonight with all of you. Now, our good friend Jake jumps in first, Tigo, and he says, do the weak-looking signings today, and tipping his hand a little bit. He's not in love with these with this big burst of activity from the New York Jets front office. Do they mess up our comp pick formula? I don't know what qualifies for it. Not happy if they do. Everything today just seems like camp depth. Well, the short answer is yes. Yes, it does. Now, we don't have the numbers yet. At least I haven't seen them on Okafor. We know that Myers got $3.5 million, so that would effectively alleviate the 7th round pick that we're getting right. As of today, when today started, Solomon Thomas qualified for a 7th round pick. That would nullify that one. We also signed. We signed Okafor, Myers. We signed Weaver.
Isaiah Oliver.
Well, we re-signed Oliver, so he doesn't impact the comp pick for me. He's just a re-signing. But Weaver, do we have the numbers on Weaver? Rashad Weaver, the
I can look them up. I haven't seen
the pass rushing specialist from the Tennessee Titans, had a whopping 0 sacks last year, but he did have 5.5 2 years ago. So clearly you can understand why he's a priority, Tigo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
5.5 sacks 2 years ago. Gotta get him. Gotta get him now. Comp picks be damned. So I'll show you guys.
There is no info on the Rashad Weaver contract
yet.
No info
on Rashad Weaver yet. So here's what I'll take a second, and we can start the show with comp picks. Why not? So I'll show you this. Let me see here. So we'll go ahead, and I'll show you this right here. Come on, share. All right. So here's what it looks like. Okay. So here's how it all breaks down right now, Jake. So as you can see, the Jets lost 6 free agents so far. DJ Reed, Hassan Reddick, Kinlaw, Moses, Solomon Thomas, and Ashton Davis. We signed 3. So clearly this isn't updated. So Justin Fields, the contracts, and years and all that. So that wipes out DJ Reed's potential comp pick, which would have been about a 4th. Unless he has an all-pro season, it could have gone as high as a 7th. I'm sorry, a 3rd. Brandon Stevens, which is the one real head scratcher for me.
Massive.
Especially with the money. So he's overpaying, in my opinion. But he wipes out Kinlaw, which is crazy because Kinlaw, nobody on God's green earth other than the Washington Commanders thought that Kinlaw was going to get a 3-year, $15 million contract. I mean, $50 million per year, right?
Yeah, it was 3 year 45.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So $30 million guaranteed.
That's insane.
It's insane. So he would have been a potential 5th round pick for us. Andre Cisco, who's a signing that I actually like. That's the one I think, okay, great. 1 year, I think 10 million is a little bit high. He got the same basic money as Justin Reed, which I don't think they're necessarily the same tier. So I think what we did was a little bit of an overpay there, but that is what it is. But that wipes out the Morgan Moses contract. Solomon Thomas, again, here he's solo, but if Myers, if he qualifies, which I think he does, is going to wipe out the Solomon Thomas pick, and then Ashton Davis doesn't qualify because of playing time. He needs to play at least I think it was 25% of the snaps. So defensive snaps.
Real quick, GreenBean. I don't know if you can fix this, but you're also streaming to your channel at the same time right now.
Am I really?
Yeah.
Let me see. Hold on a second. I'm going to bounce out. You talk.
Yeah.
Thank you for judging that.
Yeah, I just like my thing is like, regardless of what you think about the contracts that he had pulled up, like the Justin Fields, 20 million, Brandon Eccles, like all of the contracts, they all seem like overpays. I think the biggest one is just like, even when we get players that I'm like, oh, hey, look at that. Like that could be a guy maybe, like an Andre Cisco. Because like I was excited about the Andre Cisco signing. I was like, oh, like this guy is 25, was ascending with the Jaguars. The Jaguars fell apart like the Jets did last year. So I'm not going to hold his last year against him. Like it's a 1-year deal. Let's see what happens. And then you find out, oh, it's $10 million. And you're like, wait, a guy who has been average for 4 years gets $10 million. Like his numbers aren't objectively all that better than Tony Adams. And we gave Tony Adams $3.5 million. So how is it that Tony Adams, a player who's very similar in skill set and level to Cisco and is also very young, gets 3.5, but Cisco somehow gets 10? This is the problem that I have been seeing with all of the contracts, is just like every time that Moogs has been able to give money, it's like an overpay. And like part of it you have to ask yourself, or you have to kind of like think about it, is like, are we back to paying the Jets tax? Like, is that what this is? Or is it just Moogs getting fleeced by agents? And again, we don't know, but in what world does Brandon Stevens get $12 million per? Like, where does that make sense?
Right. I agree with everything you just said. I heard it all. That's the right. You saw, okay, Cisco. Okay. All right. Nice young guy, the whole thing, like the position, like the player. 10 million. Just, it seems a bit rich. And me, I'm not one that there are guys that get really hung up on the contract numbers, right? And I'm not one of those guys, partially because I'm too stupid to do it. So it's hard to get hung up on things you don't understand, right? So it's just an area of weakness for me, numbers, right? I always have numbers guys around me because I don't do that well. But even on, aside from that, every single year you see the cap getting manipulated. You see the cap going up every year. I don't get as bent out of shape about it as a lot of other people. That said, you still can't be a fool. You can't be a new GM out there getting walked on by agents. They're all feasting on you. Look, collectively, we signed Brandon Stevens, who, look, he's had his moments, but by and large, Baltimore fans are delighted to see him go. I have my wife's from Baltimore. I talked to a couple Ravens fans. They're like, oh, good riddance. They're happy to see him go. It's like if Lazard goes. Somebody goes, oh, great, man. We got a 6'5" wide receiver. He's fucking great blocker. And we're like, good, get out of here. That kind of a thing. So we don't know what he's going to be. clearly Aaron Glenn, he's a defensive back, by profession, so he's, he probably got a good idea of what he wants. So we got that. But, again, we gave him 3 years, $12 million a year. It just seems a bit rich when a guy like DJ Reed goes out there and he gets $16 million a year. So it's not that it's the same, but it's in the same ballpark. It's like,
and I think the biggest thing with that is like DJ Reed is more than $4 million better than Stevens. Like, I think that's the biggest thing is there were cornerbacks that went out there and got like Nate Hobbs got $12 million per. I would have given Nate Hobbs $12 million per. And Nate Hobbs is clearly better than Stevens. They're not in the same tier either. And like, I think that's like the biggest thing that you look at is just like, I don't want, look, a lot of these deals are 1-year deals. Who cares, right? Whatever. Like, I get that side of it, but you don't want to set the standard of like, oh, if you're a bad player trying to get overpaid, come to the Jets. That's not a standard or a thing that you want out there.
No, it's not. Like, you're absolutely right.
And that's what the kind of the standard is just like, oh, hey, if you're a bad player and you want to get overpaid, come to the Jets. Like, because obviously, if you can lock down Jamar Chase for one play, you're getting starting quarterback money, and it's just like cornerback money. I don't know. Like, there's still a lot of time from now in the beginning of week 1. And like you said, and I think this is the biggest thing, which is just like, for all of the faults that Moogs is doing, like, Glenn has to sign off on these players, like, as a whole.
No doubt.
And there has to be something there that you're looking at and you're like, okay, cool. He's a DB. He was a DB. He was a very, very damn good DB. Wilkes like has a knack for making his defensive backs shine and do really, really well. Like, there's clearly a plan there. So that's why, like, when at the beginning of the show, when I said it's just like, I'm not all that doom and gloom, but it is worrying.
And it lacks like the umph. Like, well, look, we just signed like 5 players, and you go, you'd love a little bit of juice. So Blitz Crew comes in. Thanks, buddy. Good to see you, Blitz Crew, as always. He says Adams, Cisco, Stevens, and Oliver are safety room. So look, we did re-sign Isaiah Oliver, which I think is solid.
Yep.
He's a decent guy. Now, is he talking about Tony Adams?
Yeah.
So I think we locked him up, didn't we? Maybe
technically not yet. We gave we tendered him with the right of first refusal. So if somebody else wants to sign him, we get to choose whether or not we want to match that deal. And if he signs the contract, it's 3.25, I believe is what the number is.
Okay, good. So, well, look, let's see. I'm assuming he comes back. What do you think of the idea that we're going to move Brandon Stevens to safety?
Then, like,
and why did he get $12
I don't
million?
think that makes sense. I thought originally when it was that $12 million deal, I was like, you know what? Stevens and Adams, because we did the Adams deal first, right? So we knew that we were going to keep Adams. Made sense. But then you go out and get Cisco, who's like already a safety now. So I honestly think that the plan is Cisco as your single high, like free safety, rangy, ball hawking free safety up on the back. Adams is your box, like your strong safety in and around the box, because that's what he did for the Jets last year. And then a ton of nickel with obviously Sauce following the 1, Stevens following the 2, and Michael Carter in at the, in the slot following whoever the 3 is that they decide at that point.
Right.
But
yeah, so
don't forget.
I don't know if I buy it either.
Yeah, I don't think Stevens is in the safety room. I think he's in the cornerback room.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
I think that Bernard Converse is in the safety room. I think he's your 4th safety.
Interesting, because we lost, and then to Garrett Ham's point. What's up, Garrett? Good to see you. He says Mougey is letting a lot of players leave, which is good. Now, look, like the Kinlaws, the Reddicks of the world, right? That's fine. Ashton Davis, that's fine too. Moses, I would have liked to see
Yeah, me too.
come back. But the Jets were probably offering him a 1-year deal, $5-6 million kind of a thing. And he got the bag. This is his
I
last
saw a
contract.
report. Real quick, sorry. I saw a report that we offered him a 1-year, 5.5.
Yeah, so there you go.
And he got 8 from the Steelers.
He got 8 for 3. He got 3 years. So there you go, man. Good for him. You got to take it, dude.
No, you can't blame him for it. I wish it wasn't to the cheating pedophiles, but
but it's just an opportunity.
Yeah,
Tigo, it's an opportunity for Will McDonald to remind everybody that he's old. That's all. That's the way to do it. So, but another guy we lost today, I'm not sure if you guys heard about this one yet. Most of you have, but Brandon Eccles is gone. Brandon Eccles was a guy, look, he's a depth piece, but he's just about as good of a depth cornerback as you're going to find out there, right? He has a knack for the ball, finding the ball. He's got himself a nice little batch of picks in very limited time. He's had to come in and play, full time on the outside. He's done well. So he's a kind of a guy that you wanted to see, retained. Now, I don't know, but this is one of the things I was wondering if Eccles had kind of built his resume enough that he does get a shot at being the starter somewhere. So what is his money? Do you know?
We have not found his money. I've been super, super interested in that, but he's not going to start for Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh. So I have a friend, we've been friends for a long time. He's like a really, really low level, beat reporter in Pittsburgh for a bunch of the things in Pittsburgh. And he was telling me before all of the stuff officially came out that they're going all in on Slay. And that's the plan. It's Joey Porter Jr., who they drafted a few years ago, and then Darius Slay. That's who they're going to go get as starters. And that, so that would imply, I've texted him and he hasn't texted me back yet, but that would imply that Eccles is going there to be the first man off of the bench.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the money is for, but if it's anything under 3, I would have given him that.
Yeah. Well, maybe too, maybe Aaron Glenn's looking at his roster and he's looking at JBC and he's looking at Quantez Stiggers and he's saying, look, and I plan to take another guy in the draft. I'm fine. I don't need to pay, 3.5 for my backup cornerback right now. I just don't need to do that. I don't see the, the differential between Eccles in his brain and JBC. And like you said, maybe we are moving him to safety, which is interesting. And very possible because he played some of that in college, as we know. But maybe not. Maybe
we also have Stiggers.
That's what I'm saying. So JBC, Stiggers, he's looking. He says, I'm going to bring in another young kid in the mid rounds, develop him. And I feel good. I don't need to pay a depth guy that much money. So maybe. Yeah.
I think that's the other thing that especially when you're looking at these middling players that are fringe players who maybe they're not a starter on the top 10 teams in the NFL, but they probably start on the bottom 10 teams in the NFL. And there's value there, your Eccles, Bryce Hall, when we let him go, those types of players is just, you have to be, this is going to be the test for obviously Moobs and Glenn. And this is why, I loved Eccles. I wanted to bring him back. I wanted him to be CB2 for us. I really liked him. I thought he had that level of play in him, but this is where you earn your money as a GM, right? Is okay, Eccles is gone, but you've got these young guys. You've got a draft. You should be able to find your backup cornerback in the draft. And that's, I think you hit the nail on the head with that kind of evaluation. It's just it was a different regime that was with Eccles. It's not this one. And so we're moving in a different direction. We're going to get one of our guys.
Yeah.
And so I hate to see Eccles go because I liked him as a player, but this one's not one that's tearing me up because it's just well, we have a DB as a head coach. He'll find somebody in the 4th round. I believe that. So.
Yeah. No, I'm with it. And look, Iowa, my good buddy Iowa Jets, who it's always good to see, says maybe Eccles wanted to go. We already know DJ Reed made it very, very clear before, any of the free agency, melee started. I'm excited to test the waters. I have no intent. I'm ready. I'm ready to go out there. This is the first time that he's going out there in free agency as as a top tier outside cornerback in the NFL. He wants to see what the money is, and not for nothing, maybe even see if there's a winner out there that wants me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm a little tired of this shit. So good for him. I get it. But maybe Eccles falls into that category too. Now we'll get to Alan Dode's very, very awesome 17-month Talking Jets OnlyFans super chat here, guys. If you want to join, the join button is right under the video here, and that helps the channel a great deal. We'd appreciate that. Alan, thank you so much. He says, remember to include the Jets tax in all Jet free agents deals. That said, go Jedis. Right. So that's a very good point, Tigo.
Yeah.
Right now, the Jets, we did everything we could the last 2 years to shake this moniker that we are a slapdick circus, right? It got worse. We brought in Aaron Rodgers, Tyron Smith, fucking Morgan Moses, Devontae Adams. You know, we had Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and Sauce Gardner and all these guys. And we won 5 games. And in just terrible after we watched Aaron Rodgers go down with an Achilles tear the year before. So we're back to that. Maybe, just maybe, this team is doomed. I don't want to go there. I actually don't want to go there if I can avoid it. So if you're going to get somebody, maybe a Brandon Stevens, you know, you got to give the extra $2 million. Maybe Andre Cisco, you got to give the extra $2 million. Maybe that's just where we are right now. And that's a great point. And I love what he said about the Jedis. As you guys know, what he's referencing, and I think this is a great name, which is why I've shifted my love in the first round for wide receiver. I still am be delighted if Ted McMillan, but now I want Ibuka because I want to keep this Jedi thing going. We did it with Rashad Weaver, was also a Ohio State Buckeye, but we did the big reuniting of Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson, and Jeremy Ruckert on the Jets. So
and
no longer
center.
the Buckeyes, but the Jedis, Tigo. I hope that one sticks, and for good reason. What do you think of that?
Let's see it play out on the field first.
Why can't you just have a fucking opinion? Are you going to do that?
Because I don't want to get on this. I'm not a fan of Fields. I don't think it's going to work.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying you like the name Jedis. That's what I'm asking.
No, that's a great name, but
Son of a bitch.
I don't want it to stick if it's going to be bad. Like, can Fields be good first? Can we do that first?
Are you into bringing in Ibuka or maybe making a trade for a JSN or Olave? Kind of keep this thing going?
I would avoid Olave. Dude, concussions are a bad.
Yeah, I know it's a bad one. And he had 2 last year.
So good.
Good.
He's so good when he's on the field, but he's not on the field all that much. And like, I hate it, man. Because like, there's real smoke here that like Olave might get traded. And it's like, oh man, it's so hard to take a bet on a guy that has concussions. And I don't see Seattle trading JSN in a trade back scenario for the Jets. I really like Ibuka, a lot. Because like Ibuka is the type of player, like I feel like kind of like what JSN is, where it's just like, dude, he doesn't do anything flashy, you know, but he gets the job done. I really like Emeka Ibuka. I thought he should have come out in the draft last year. And then he went back to
got
school.
Swallowed though. Last year we saw like bona fide guys that would come in. You know, they're going to come right in and be contributors going in the 5th and 6th round.
But I think Ibuka would have gone in the 1st last year. I think he would have been square in that conversation of 4th wide receiver taken off
right after Odunze before Brian Thomas.
It was going to be Brian Thomas or it was going to be Ibuka. And that's right where he is now, right? Like this isn't a super top heavy wide receiver class. So he's going to go what? 15 to 25? He would have gone 15 to 25 last year. But I really like Ibuka. If we can trade out of 7, get into that middle rounds and get like an extra 2nd, I'm totally on board. And I do really, really like Emeka Ibuka.
Yeah, I like him too. And the thing is with wide receiver in this draft, everybody, is that it really is thin. Not that you can't get a nice guy, a nice player later. Like I like, it's quite a few guys. I've told everybody I love Nick Nash. I like Ty Felton. I like, I always fucking forget his name, man. Kid out of San Jose State. Hold on a second here. Hold on a second,
San
Tigo.
Jose. Why don't I remember his name?
Hold
I
on.
can see his face.
I love him. He's 6'4". Hold on. Jesus Christmas. Dante Thornton.
He's out of
Tennessee, not San Jose State. What's wrong with
Nick Nash is San Jose.
That's right. I flipped my brains, dude. They're old and beat up. And I work 15-hour days every day. So I'm fried, everybody. That said, Loco Jets has a good comment. So he said, Frankie, our buddy Frankie from Flatbush, broke it down. Stevens is good in man, and Baltimore played mostly zone. I don't know what Baltimore played. If that's true, then maybe that's what they're looking at. This guy's much better pressing the wide receiver and sticking with one guy as opposed to trying to play the zone. If that's the case, because Wilkes likes man. You know what I mean?
And again, I haven't looked enough at Stevens to be able to talk about it. And if what Frankie is saying is true, that's great. And again, he's a DB. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. The money's still kind of rough, but maybe it works. We know we're going to transition to more man. I think that's the
I
one
prefer
thing.
Man, dude. I'll be honest with you. I do. I prefer man corner. I like when I don't like 10-yard gaps. I don't like that shit. That was one of the rubs I had. Look, you couldn't really complain too much about Salah's defense for most of the time he was here because by and large they were badass. You know what I mean? By and large. But there were those rubs I have. I can't stand, giving guys an 8-yard cushion on 3rd and 3. I just don't like it. I don't
put hands on a guy early, especially at corner. I like that at corner. I still prefer to I like a mixed defense. I hate when you're too heavy on one side. But one thing that I'm really excited about with this coaching staff is Sauce gets to go back to playing man a ton, and that's really damn good for us. Because Sauce was one of the best man corners coming out of college. His press man ability was insane. And to see him now follow wide receiver ones and get to be a press man corner, that's really exciting.
Yeah, I like that idea too. So, hey, man, there you go. Maybe that's what it's all about, everybody. Blitz Crew checking back in says the Woody tax for the player conditions he provides. It's really interesting too, because did you see DJ Reed was ready to go? But I don't know if you guys saw his post on Twitter. He made an official goodbye to the Jets.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said in there, Blitz Crew, was that he said, I thank Woody Johnson for changing my life. You changed my life. Maybe that was because I now know I will never, ever be near a guy like this again. Who knows? I don't know. But it sounded very, very complimentary. So, and look, the Jets facilities, we get told all the time that they're actually, and I've been there.
Really
I haven't worked out in there or anything. I don't know it on that level, but it seems beautiful to me. You know what I mean? There are some real shitholes. The thing is, it's getting older. They moved over there in 2009, I think it was. So it's getting a little older. It's time to maybe update it. Maybe that's what's going on, Tigo.
But I think also it was a very clearly a targeted message at Woody. It was everybody put an F on everything. Regardless of regardless of because the fields are nice. We've seen the practice fields. They're not, and got an F. We've seen the facilities. The facility, I know for a fact that the facilities are better than the Bengals, what the Bengals have. I know that for a fact. I can say that with my chest. You know what I mean? We've all seen the Giants facilities, and they're average at best. But this was very clearly just a targeted FU to Woody. And so, but also, when I saw that thing, I was like, whoever his PR team is did a really damn good job writing this for him.
Yeah.
That's nice. That was my instant reaction. Because again, we didn't have any beef with DJ Reed. Reed played his heart out.
He did.
All the time. Every single snap, every game for all of the years that he was here. He wasn't like Lazard, who gave up halfway through the season last year. Clearly just outing,
gave up. Right.
Playing soccer on the field. And dude, I love soccer. My team won today. I'm hyped, but be a professional. This is what you do for a living. You just gave up. Just gave up because Zach is bad. We know Zach is bad. We've been here for 30 years, 50, 60, 70 years, some of us. Deal with it, bro. You've been here for for like 30 seconds. Relax.
Yeah, right. Everybody calm down.
It can get worse.
Oh, yeah.
And it did.
Yeah. Right. It's dude, last year, damn near killed me. Mike Melda, this is interesting. He says, we aren't winning the offseason, so the season must be over. Some of you are insane and will never be happy. Well, it's an interesting thing because I do agree with the assessment that some of us are truly insane. And I also agree with the assessment that there is a large portion of us that truly are unreachable as far as happiness. Doesn't matter what it is. Now, the sad part about that is that the actual results support those people more than they do somebody like myself, who does stay on the positive side more than I'm on the negative side. I get upset too, of course, but like I try to keep things positive, right? The sad part is that I'm never fucking right. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we suck. So who cares what I thought about this draft pick or great trade or great move or great pick or great signing or great whatever? Doesn't matter. 5 wins. 7 wins. That's what we get. So the guys that are the Grumpkins, they're right more times than not. But here's the thing, Mike. What about this? Like you pointed this out. We're not really winning the offseason right now anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the good thing. Maybe. You know what I mean?
There was a comment.
That's the way to do it, Tigo.
There was a comment earlier. And like this is like the whole thing, right? This is why like I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. It's a new regime. It's a new plan. I got pissy over the whole Justin Fields thing. That's fine. I'm like 89% over it. But I think that that's a really, really good point, which is just like we've won the offseason the last 3 years. We've won the offseason. And it's totaled as 19 wins in 3 years.
Think about that.
Like maybe you don't have to win the offseason.
Yeah. All right. I'm putting a poll in the chat for everybody. I want to know what your honest feelings are about the first 3 days. Really, today's day 1 of free agency, everybody. Technically speaking. But it's day 3, as we know, they call it the legal tampering period, which I don't really understand the logic behind that, Tigo. If I'm being straight, I don't get it. Why not just do it? Because it leaves that window. You can go, no, I changed my mind. You know, I don't like that.
I think you need to have the new league year, obviously, and that's just for like accounting reasons and things like that. But like, I think the whole thing of just like legal tampering, you can talk to players 4 days before free agency actually happens. It's just like, and then legal tampering period starts at 12 Eastern. And we have insanely complex and complicated contracts with multiple guarantees and incentives and playing bonuses. And if the guy cuts his hair in a certain way and like all of these super minute details that need to get negotiated, done, signed, ready to be done and delivered at 12:01. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, we all know these people are talking all year long. Like, so I'm with you on that. It's just like, just let them do whatever they want. Season's over. Let these teams start talking. Yeah. Before the Super Bowl, maybe not. Maybe no.
That's what I'm saying. Right? Like cut it out.
Super Bowl's over. We like teams know. Teams know.
Yeah. So now we got another big one today. You guys may know this. You probably do by now, but if not, I'm going to tell you. The CJ Mosley era is over, everybody. Okay. Now he was a badass. He was signed by one Mike McCagnon in his final free agency where Woody let him, or it wasn't Woody, it was Chris. Chris Johnson let him spend over $100 million, and he had the 3rd overall pick in the draft. We let him do all that, and then we fired him 2 weeks later. CJ Mosley and Le'Veon Bell were the creme de la creme of that particular free agent period. We paid CJ Mosley $5 million more per year than the top linebacker contract in the NFL at the time, which was $12 million per year. So it was a lot. It was like, 40% increase or whatever that is. But he ended up being a certified badass for us. He was an amazing leader. We lost him year 1. Then there was the COVID year. Year 3, he came in and he played, he's played great for us. He's been a great Jet. He's been proud to be here. Good leader, good teacher for guys like Sherwood and all that kind of stuff. But clearly lost a step. And then his injuries we're not talking about turf toe or an ankle sprain here. He had neck injuries last year, head and neck. So it's like, it just sucks that we got $16.4 million. I think it's $0.4 million dead cap, which the Jets are going to spread over 2 years. I think it's $8 million this year and $6 million and change the next year.
Wait, it's confirmed that they're doing the post June 1st with him?
That's what Jason from Over the Cap said on Twitter.
Oh, I saw the opposite.
Yeah.
I thought we were taking the full 19 this year.
I know. Well, I was talking about that in the Beanbagger Discord before this stream, and I thought, I think this might be one that they choose to eat this year. But this is what Jason from Over the Cap said about the CJ Mosley release. Jets will take on $16.74 million in dead cap money with Mosley's release. Will be split as $8.78 million this year and $7.65 million next year. Jets owe him $4.25 million. They were a year too late with the renegotiation, and it left them with this.
Yeah. So I just looked it up. He was a post June 1st designation.
Yeah. So we're gonna take a $8.78 million cap hit, and half of that is actual real dollars. So CJ Mosley is going to get a nice $4.25 million parting gift.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you play Wheel of Fortune and you don't win, they go, we have some nice parting gifts for you. They got pens and a board game and like some chocolates and a 15% off of the wine, Jelly of the Month Club, that kind of shit. CJ Mosley gets $4.25 million to say goodbye. What's your feelings overall on CJ Mosley?
Again, it was a weird moment there at the beginning, right? Because I really liked CJ when he came in, and then he immediately got hurt. And then he took the COVID year. And once he took the COVID year, I was kind of done with it. I was like, okay, clearly something's going on or whatever and all that stuff. And then he comes back and he gives us honestly, there's 2 All-Pro, 2 Pro Bowl years that are just, we had 2 of the best linebackers in the NFL and he was a part of that duo. And it was awesome to see him go. And that's why so I tweeted it out when I saw the news. It was just, oh, captain, my captain. It's sad overall the way that his tenure began and ultimately how it ended, because it always came back to the neck. But that middle part was one hell of a ride on defense. Those 2 years of him and Quincy flying and just it's really a shame that we had the worst quarterback play and offensive line play. And our offense was complete and utter dog shit. Yeah.
During that, it wasn't like we said, even middling quarterback play, average offense. If we could just score 17 to 21 points a game, we're a playoff team. And who knows what beyond that. That defense was ferocious. It's just
it's time for him to go. I think once you saw Sherwood step in and say not miss a beat is a little harsh on CJ Mosley, because CJ Mosley was an All-Pro, right? But I think what we saw from Sherwood last year was damn good linebacker play.
Yeah.
And it was the right time. So sad to see him go, but it makes sense. And I hope some other team overpays for him to run out the rest of his deal. Because I think
I'd love to see him. Yeah, I don't know. He's not going to be brought back. They just paid him $4 million to leave. Yeah. You think they could have done something with it, but anyway, I'm with you. I think his career is over. Honestly, maybe somebody.
I think football's worse if CJ's not in it. I really, really like CJ. Respect him as a man, as a leader, as a football player, and all those things. But next a serious injury, he might be done.
Yeah. So I'm going to end this poll. See how everybody's doing. We only got 86 votes for over 300 people in here. 350. Nobody wanted to vote, so we'll end the poll, and we'll see how this is going. So I asked you guys how you were feeling. So not loving it, but not hating it, took it with 73%. This is the worst offseason yet, 16%, and love it. We're killing it. Got 10%, Tigo. Some Jets fans are pretty excited out there. Let's move it over to our good buddy Swamp Ranger checking in. We keep saying trade back, but who is trading up to 7 if it's too rich for most of these guys? Pick the best right tackle or tight end and move on. MOUGEY ain't bougie. Well, the thing is this. The draft fever is just picking up, right? It's just starting. We got all this talk now of Jackson Dart being a first-round quarterback, and he's going. Who knows? Remember, right around this time last year was when Zach Wilson started to pick up. He wasn't even really. He was considered a late first, second-round pick at best. And then all this period right now, he just slowly but surely crept up the boards all the way to number 2. So it happens. You never know. Some team might even figure out that they want to take him before Sanders. Who knows what happened? It gets crazy out there.
Yep.
So the excitement, and then look, the better teams, they might look at somebody up top like a Mason Graham or a Tet McMillan or an Abdul Card or any of these guys if they slide a little bit, Genty even, and they might say, you know what? That's the final piece for me. I'm willing to give up a first next. Like, who cares? Like, they're close. So that kind of stuff. And for the Jets, honest to God, Tigo, I would be totally willing to move back as far as I needed to. There's plenty. That end of the first all the way to the third round is where most of the players I really like live.
Yep.
That's where they really live. Yep. So we were talking about it in the Discord, the Beanbagger Discord before this. Would you even be willing to take a trade back that didn't get you a second or third this year? Like it's just a first and second like you trade back to like 21 or 22. Like 21 was Pittsburgh. They don't have a first. I'm sorry, a second this year. So are you willing to like slide back, maybe get a fourth this year and a first and second next year?
I think the one thing I cut off is I'm not moving back this year without getting something in return this year. Like I'm not just taking 2026 picks. So like if someone comes in and like, oh, we're just going to give you 2026 picks, I don't necessarily want to do that. I would like to get picks because I think the bulk of what's good in this class is in the middle rounds. I think that's where this class is going to be really, really damn good. But there's not a single player not named Carter or Hunter, and neither one are making it to 7 that like you have to take at 7. And like to answer this question just a little bit like more in depth, like who's coming up? You can never count out the Cowboys to come up, especially with like Genty and things like that. Cowboys are stupid. They're going to do stupid things. There's already rumors that the Colts are trying to come up, right? That
For who? Who do they want?
Tyler Warren, apparently. Like they're all in on Tyler Warren. And the Jets are the team right now that everybody is mocking taking Tyler Warren. And so like that's a real spot or a situation there that you're looking in might be interesting. Seattle might be a team that might want to come up to get an interior offensive lineman because again, if you're staring down the barrel and the Jets are like, let's say Membu's gone, but Campbell is there, well, the Jets probably need a right tackle or a right guard. So you might need it. Like, so I'm not saying that any of these guys are like worth it to come up for, like, and that sense of it. But if a team falls in love with a player and sees it as like, no, like this is the missing piece to get our offense to work, or this is the missing piece to get our defense to work, like we're a DB away, let's go get Jahdae Barron. Like teams have done far worse trades with far better players.
Yeah.
Like, and
I'm with you.
Players, right? Like the Steelers came up in front of us to get Broderick Jones, and it's very clearly not working.
Yeah.
Like, let's give it time. It's only been 2 years, but But like, it's just as of right now, it's not working. So I don't think you can ever count it out. But I do think Swamp Ranger has something going there where it's just like, for you to go back, someone's got to come up.
Yep.
Maybe.
But you only need one.
Something there, and that's it.
You only need one.
And I think you can convince Uncle Jerry to come get Genty.
Yeah, well, Indianapolis is sitting at 14. So that's clear. I mean, look, it's a 50 point overpay on their end if they jumped up to 7. But to get pick 45 in the second round. So that would give us picks 42 and 45, which will be delightful for me.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Screw them. Yeah, you're overpaying.
No,
We
well,
were
that's what I
going
was
to
going
take
to say.
Warren.
So it's only 50 points, and that's the Jerry, the Jimmy Johnson board, but it's like they're the ones that want to move up. So an overpay, and you could say, look, I got my phone's ringing, buddy. You're going to have to bring more than that. I need your second and your fifth. You know what I mean? To come up. So that kind of stuff can happen. But anyway, I'm just saying it's realistic.
Yep.
That trade could happen. So Indianapolis is one, like you said. Dallas is one. So they have
12.
picked 44. So it's close. Jerry Jones has no problem with points. He don't give a shit. So you'd get pick 44 out of that. So anyway, I really hope we can trade back. But like you're pointing out, very important. It does take two to tango. Good.
I think a really good example of this is like when the Jets traded back up for Jermaine Johnson. And like, I love Jermaine Johnson. I was ready to take Jermaine Johnson at 10, right?
Yeah.
But let's not forget that was a really, really deep edge class.
Yeah.
We technically didn't need to come up to get JJ like at the edge. We were in love with JJ and we wanted to make that move. And I'm totally on board with that move. But like, again, just because a position group is deep, if you fall in love with a guy, Malachi Corley, no matter the cost.
That's right.
Like there's literally like two examples from the Jets straight up right there. The chat brought up another one. Like, let's not forget, we came up for AVT.
Yeah.
Like
Slater was just sitting there. Yeah. It's like
we didn't have to go up to go get AVT.
And not for nothing. Yeah. I mean, what's his name? The guy we love, the center. I can't believe it. A Chiefs center. Creed Humphrey.
Creed Humphrey.
Well, you could have just sat right where we were and taken Creed Humphrey.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but they were in love with AVT. So they gave up 2 third-round picks to move up just to get him. So it happens all the time.
Yep.
So that's a great point. I want to point to Cadoza has a good comment too. He says the reason that he likes this offseason is because we've made concrete decision about the future while allowing for financial and draft flexibility. So the one thing you can say, and I do, I agree with this. They've said this year we are shedding all of the old, tired, play. Like we're getting younger. That's what we're doing here. So CJ Mosley, Morgan Moses, Hassan Reddick, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams. So these guys are all gone. And then Kinlaw's not really old, but same kind of thing. Solomon Thomas, right? So like letting these guys go, just cleaning out the cupboards and when replacing them with young players, I think is it's really smart. It's what you want to see rather than in a year that we know we're not really going anywhere. Even if we do make it to the playoffs, we're not beating the Chiefs, the Bills in the playoffs, the Eagles. Like we're getting the Super Bowl for fuck's sake. Like this isn't the year, right? But it's really smart to not so it's really smart to not go out there and pay big money for guys at the tail end of their career. It doesn't make any sense. Just shed all this stuff, eat as much of the cap as you can, of the dead cap, and let's start filling these holes. And like we said before, the draft is very much a blue-collar draft, defensive tackles, tight ends. Get all that work done now. You got to fill them. Get it done now. And then next year, you can look at things of what do I need to kind of put this over the hill here, over the hump, and get into some really competitive football. So I get it. I do. Blitz Crew checking in. If I brought home an NFLPA Jets 2024 report card, my dad would have beaten my ass. CJ will be a great coach someday. 3 starting linebackers this year. Well, that's the thing. Look, there's an argument that, look, we're paying Michael Carter II, starter money, right?
Yeah.
So that gives
you
the idea that he's going to be on the field, right? So that takes a linebacker off of the field. So then you're stuck with this situation where to get your best players on the field, you're really looking at a 4-2 defense. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, but that said, you still, I don't know. This regime didn't give him that money. And not to say that they don't like him or they're not going to play him or whatever, but I don't know if they feel the same way. I don't know if that one contract is going to shape their entire defense. So with that thought, they really are one linebacker short. And that does bring up the Jihad Campbell in the first or the Schweschinger in the second, those kinds of conversations. It really does, because then you add to it, Quincy's on the last year of his deal. So we could be looking at a major hole, and we have one right now. Unless they love Zaire Barnes, I don't know.
I think here's the thing. I think that Wilkes played 70% in nickel when he was in San Francisco last, and that Glenn played over 70% in nickel in Detroit last year. Michael Carter is going to play 70% of the snaps. While all of what you said is true, that we are 1 year removed from needing a linebacker, I think there are more pressing needs right now. And I think that there are enough linebackers in the 4th or the 5th round that I like, that you can go get, that you can have develop for a year, that can come in and pad a stat for a year. I think we're more likely to play nickel and dime than we are to stay and actually play in a base 4-3. That's just how the NFL is. And I think the big thing for me is, and I've always been this way, is in day 1 and day 2, you need to get players that have a high likelihood of seeing the field for a majority of the year. That's what you should be targeting. So I think it would I love Jihad Campbell, but I would hate to take Jihad Campbell, because I didn't like it when we did it with JJ. I didn't like it when we did it with Will McDonald, because no. I want these guys to see the field. That's the point. It's these are supposed to be your studs and things like that. And we're not the Eagles. We're not the best built team in football where we have the luxury of drafting a guy to start 2 years from now. You know,
makes sense. I'm with it.
But so if we need a right tackle and Membu's on the board, go take Membu. If we still need a tight end and Warren's on the board, go take Warren.
What if they're both on the board? Who are you taking?
Membu.
Really?
Yeah, I think Membu. I think your priority has to be protection. Everything goes protection.
Yeah, you can get Trupillo in the 3rd. I think I'm fine with that. But I hear you. I do. Bearded VT are checking in. I was just hanging out with the guy who was hanging out with us in the Beanbagger Discord before this. Sit at 7 for Membu. If gone, then Warren or trade. Love Tep, but I think either of those two and Higgins in the 2nd is a better combo. Trapillo or tight end in the 3rd. Yeah, that's the thing. And that's what, to Cadoza's point, what we're doing right now, it's we're not necessarily locking up positions, but we are creating scenarios where we have a little bit more flexibility. So you're not hamstrung. You don't feel pressured. You can go with the guy that you think is going to be the best player. You have a few needs. You always want to go BPA at a position of need, in my opinion, especially up top. So you want to make sure that you get as close to a blue chip prospect as you can, and you get the best player on the board at a position of need. If all things are equal, who's going to give me the most, who I think is going to give me the most impact now, and then I can develop. So any of those combinations, they make sense to me. I'm with it. I'm not against Membu. I'm not against Ty Warren. I am really optimally, I'm hoping for a little bit of a trade back, but I'll tell you what, I'm still on the Tet McMillan train too. I would love to. Wide receiver is a big need for us, guys.
Yep.
And getting, Tyler Warren kind of takes care of a little bit of that, but you need to address it. So anyway,
protection over everything, in my opinion.
Got to do it. Crossfire checking in. I saw him for a few minutes in the Beanbagger Discord as well. Checking in with 5, count them, 5 Talking Jets OnlyFans memberships. Let's see who we gave them to. Thank you so much, Crossfire. You're the king. And he says, where is it here? There it is. So Scott Foster, KB, James Rouse, Duncan McLean, and Party with Peg and Artie. Get yourselves the free OnlyFans membership, courtesy of the one and only Crossfire. Good man. Thank you, buddy, for the support. Crossfire also has a comment here with his membership super chat. Loving what the Jets are doing thus far. Should we go for Cup or not? If he gets released, which they're saying is likely, is that a guy you're shooting for?
No.
Tell me why.
He's old, man. He's clearly going through it. And I think the big thing isn't even be real. I like Kupp as a receiver, like him as a human. Why would he come to the Jets? He's on the wrong side of 30, clearly trying to chase a ring. Like,
Yeah.
why the Jets? Like Kansas City is the spot that he probably ends up going. You know?
Yeah, that's what I see too. Like he's not gonna like. It's not like like number one, he's gonna come for a minute. He'll be here for a minute. He's at the end of his career. He's gonna be wanting to go for a winner. He's not gonna be all that expensive. He's just like you said, he's chasing a ring. I just don't see it. Like it doesn't match what we're trying to do. He's not the final piece. He's not like, hey man,
and that's
having him
the big thing. I think that's the big thing.
At wide receiver 4, that would round out everything. That's not what it is. So I just don't. I don't know if I see it too. A couple of years ago, man, believe me, I love Cooper.
Last year, I would have been all over it. But this year is just like, it's like you said, it's just, if the belief is that we're not going to make any noise this year, then don't make a move that's intended to make noise.
Right. Well said. There you go, Crossfire. City Bert checking in. Says sliding doors Jets take Fields at 2 instead of Zach. How does that go? Shitty.
Oh, yeah, he's out of here as well.
He's out of here already. Yeah, so the move, and I said it then, and I got my head chopped off by 90% of Jets fans, including guys that are very, very close to me, said I was a fool. I was a fool. The move was the trade back, and it happened. It happened with the pick right behind us. That was the trade. I said it. We can get 3 firsts for this fucking pick. And I still wanted to get rid of Sam. What I said was, you could just slide back. The Niners were at 12. You get there, you're sitting at 12. Whoever your top quarterback is, take him if you want one. Mac Jones was still there. Dude, don't like Mac Jones at all, but he would have given us much, much better play than we saw for 4 years or 3 years, really, with Zach Wilson. He was a better quarterback. Mm-hmm. So, again, you don't have to like him. He got the Patriots to the playoffs that first year. He played better. Again, all things are equal. I'm taking Mac Jones 3 firsts and a third over Zach Wilson, Justin Fields all day, every day. But if Justin Fields if we just decided stick and pick and we took Justin Fields, it would have been much to do of the same thing because he had a rough road.
Yep.
And we weren't built. Although maybe he gets away a little bit more than Zach. I mean, I don't know. Maybe a little bit different.
But again, I think all of the issues that Chicago had were the same issues that we had, which was no O-line, no pass catchers.
Yep.
Right? Like it wasn't anything that there wasn't anything that we had that Chicago that was better than what Chicago had on offense. It was the same team. So it was just like, it's also a windy stadium here at MetLife. It was also bad pass catchers. Like, yeah, we're in the same spot if we took Fields.
All right, we got one more. Wrap this show up here. JJ Hamsa checking in and says, I'd rather have Kupp play quarterback than Fields. I have a feeling Tigo is right in that same pocket as you. Maybe not Kupp, but he's not a Fields guy either. I mean, no, I don't think any of us are Fields guys, but I'm optimistic. I think, hey, man, it's a perfect swing. JJ, you and I have talked about this now a few times. But what do you think, Tigo? Sign Cooper Kupp to be the quarterback? Would you prefer it over Fields?
No, because again, Kupp can't stay healthy. At least Fields will be on the field.
Ooh, that's big, right? The number one ability is availability.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah, no. Again, I liked Kupp, but I think my love for Kupp is more about fantasy football. I had Kupp in the year before he blew up, so you could get him in the second or the third round of fantasy before he became the number 1 pick in the draft. You remember what year I'm talking about. Yeah. I took Kupp, and then he there are players that I have fantasy connections to. Adam Thielen single-handedly won me a fantasy 1 year. Puka Nacua won me fantasy this past year and the year before. So yeah. Yeah.
That's my Nick Nash this year. I tell you, it's it's funny because in fantasy last year, I took guys like Xavier Legette. I was like, okay, man, you know what I mean? But it didn't work. But Puka Nacua did very well for you, I'm sure, his rookie year. But with that all said, guys, that's going to do it. So overall, Jets fans are pretty mixed, but I think most are a little bit, we're not used to this. It's like, we're used to some bigger swings and everything. I think, look, the big one is Justin Fields and losing. We're like, hopefully addition, but the big move for us right now is what's being subtracted from the team, I think. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Hassan Reddick, CJ Mosley, Morgan Moses, obviously Solomon Thomas has been here a few years. So that's really what's going on. And I will end with this. I want you guys to know Michael Clemens is going to be on the roster this year. So you guys better get over it. I'm going to tell you right now. He's super cheap. And he's, I'm telling you, as stupid as he can be, this regime's looking at him going, no, I'm keeping him until this contract's over. I would put my pecker on it, Tigo, if I wasn't.
I don't think he makes the 53. Are you saying he make like week 1, he's on the team?
I think so.
I don't think so.
I think he is.
I think when the 90 hits, he's on the team. But when we get to the 53, I think like guys like Watts and McGregor, I think
I would love it. I don't think so. I think Michael Clemens is going to be right here. Don't forget, this team moved him all over the place. They made him gain weight, then they made him lose weight, and they said, you're going to be a defensive tackle. Oh, forget that. Well, let's move you over here. They did all that stuff. And we had no accountability last year. So he's not the guy. He's not a guy that's going to succeed in that. But I'm telling you, I'm just saying, I see it now because it's one of the things Jets fans want the most. 2 guys that'll probably be here, Michael Clemens and Alan Lazard, sticking around, everybody. Take that, put it right in your pipe, and smoke it, Snowball. That's for you, buddy. With that all said, I think that's the end of the show. Tigo, you got anything coming up you want anybody to know about?
We're going to do our first post Justin Fields mock off season this week. I'm trying to see if there's any more signings that are happening because I want to do how does the draft, because obviously free agency is kind of done, but you kind of just got to have how does the plan now pivot in the draft and all of those things. So yeah.
There you go. Well, the link to Tigo's channel, as said before, is right in the top of the description of this video. Show Tigo some love. Don't forget to hit that like button on your way out, guys. It's the only way YouTube knows you give a shit. And the subscribe button. It's free, everybody. And it shows the channel love. We appreciate all your support. And as we go through this very different Jets offseason, we got to stick together, keep talking. And that's why we're here at Talking Jets. I will see you guys tomorrow night for the Thursday Think of It with Gunny and Dom C. With that all said, have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next time.